You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling in the rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, oh, oh,
And Nasty. Host Randy Chevrier and Sheldon Napastia guide you through great stories that spark great conversations. Two really big guys talking a big game. The boys are locked in and ready to go. Welcome to the ride.
Well, my mic was muted, but I'm back. Welcome to the ride, everyone. It's the ride with Chevy and Nasty, and I'm going to give a big shout out to our first one on the docket. Chad Smith was the first to join in. Very happy that the Oilers won. We're going to talk about that tonight. Jamin, very happy that the Jets won. We're going to talk about that tonight. Very happy that we're here, and we're going to talk about that tonight. It's Performance Freight Management is our sponsor. We Drone Real Estate Media, YYC Business. We're here. Sheldon, you made it. I know you got lots on the go. You're busy. It's a busy season for you. You got to make, what do they say? Make hay while the sun shines. That's the type of business you're in. You're not like me that has regular daytime hours. You're kind of on the clock. When they call, you got to go. And sometimes you got to go all night. And you're taking a bit of time out tonight from your busy work schedule to join me, to join Trey, and to join all the people out there. So first of all, Sheldon, thanks for making that time, but welcome, because it's always such a fun time to do the show with you. I know you're a little bit stressed, but this is going to be so fun. We're going to get this going.
This is my break. And I think the thing, being busy is not a bad thing, whether you're in business or, out there with clients. Being busy is a good thing. But what happens is when you start forcing the busyness and you start rushing and scrambling, every time you rush, something is going to go wrong that just slows you down, trickles it down the chain. And, and today I'm being an IT guy, I'm being a quality control guy, customer service guy, and trying to keep up with bookings. But Chev, this Tuesday night is my night to just kind of put that all behind me for at least an hour and just catch up a little bit, see what's going on in the world of sports, in the world of politics. Lots of stuff happening right now. And I'm excited to do episode number 74 with you.
And that's the crazy thing is this is 74 pretty much consecutive episodes, 74 pretty much consecutive live episodes. I think we took a week off or two at Christmas. We took a week or two off in the summer for vacation because we need a recharge of the batteries. But here we are. We're doing it. We've made it through a US election. We've made it through a Canadian election. We might even make it through a referendum. Who knows? But it's episode 74, and with that, we want to introduce you some of the very famous and maybe not so famous 74s. On the left there, we got beleaguered. Is he beleaguered? I don't know if he's beleaguered, but he might be a bit beleaguered at this moment. Stuart Skinner, brought the Oilers to Game 7 last year in the Cup. Had a pretty decent season this year, but fell off the cliff early in the first round of the playoffs against the Kings, and he finds himself on the bench, but he's still probably a very famous 74. Sheldon, who you got in the middle there?
What's his name? That is
Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews. No, not Clay Matthews.
No,
Bruce Matthews. Bruce Matthews in the middle for the Houston Oilers, and then I think he finished up as a Tennessee Titan. I think he was there when Steve McNair was there. I kind of remember him playing for a very long time, a lot of Pro Bowls. In fact, I think he has the third most games played by an NFL player behind, I believe it's Brett Favre and Tom Brady.
Wow.
He's the uncle of Clay Matthews, who's famous for the Green Bay Packers, but also, no, that's AJ Hawk on the Pat McAfee show. I'm thinking a different guy, but yeah, no, a lot of longevity. When you get to the 74s, not a lot of people. I looked on the Stampeders roster. Not too many people wore that number for very long, Sheldon. I kind of looked. Yeah,
I got a good one for you though. There's one that I missed because I missed the cutoff. When I first signed with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, signing for the hometown team.
Yeah.
One of the last guys from the 89 Grey Cup on the roster was Dan Rasevich, number 74, middle linebacker, special teams extraordinaire. I don't know if he was from a time that you followed the CFL that closely, but he was one of those guys. He was a middle linebacker. He started his fair share of games, but he was never a big guy. He's like, 5'11", maybe 205 pounds. But tough as nails, just your good old Canadian boy that knew a trick or two. And he really showed me the ropes. He's the one that really kind of got me into figuring out special teams for a guy going to the pros that has to make it on special teams. I never played special teams in college. Wow. So Dan Rasevich was always like one of those guys I looked up to as a kid playing in high school and college. A couple years later, I got to play with him. That was a hell of a guy. I think he's still here in Calgary doing his business thing.
Well, I got to tell you, I never really knew him as a player, but he is on my yearly Edmonton Eskimos old balls not playoff, but fantasy pick and pool. So Dan is but I've never met him. But his name appears there every time. Bruno Lindia, thanks for joining the show. He pipes in with number 74, Rome Nixon of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Bruno's hometown, Ottawa Rough Riders. A couple of famous 74s, but for our 74th episode, we have, as usual, a special edition or a 74th edition. 74 poems I've had to write. Holy crap, that's a lot of poetry. We should, you know what? We should, when we get to episode 100, we should compile all these poems and put out like a special edition Chevy and Nasty book of poems. And it's kind of like a historical ledger of everything we've spoken about. Yeah. But before we get to 100, we got to get 74. Trey, play the music.
Studs and duds.
You are asleep. Trey, you errors and omissions.
There you go. Come on, Trey.
You got one job. Job. Let's try this again. For the 74th edition of the 300-pound poetry, let's get this show started the way it's supposed to be. Go ahead, Trey.
And now, 300-pound poetry with Chevy and Nasty.
We are 300 pounds. We aren't an internet meme. But if you're fighting gorillas, we'd be on your team.
Rantanen went off in a Game 7 flurry. After his 4-point heroics for Dallas, it's time for round 2 in a hurry.
The miracle on ice happened for Winnipeg Jets too. An improbable win in overtime has propelled them to round 2.
And speaking of round 2, Sam Bennett is public enemy number one for the Leafs. After knocking out their goaltender last night, some guy's going to have some beefs.
We talk about burgers, gorillas, and maybe Ovechkin having sex. We rhyme it all for some reason, and that is no flex.
Good one. We are Chevy and Nasty. This show is The Ride. We will deliver for our friends. You won't be denied. I'm slurring my words tonight. I'm slurring my words because it seems like every Tuesday I get a migraine. I was fine coming home from work. The wind started howling, and the minute that wind starts blowing, I start feeling it in my eyes. I start feeling it in my head, and sometimes it manifests in my speech. But I don't know what Trey's excuse is. Trey, what's going on, bud? You still celebrating the Oilers' victory there?
I must be. Yeah, that was a total whoops.
It's okay. We forgive you and we still love you. Sheldon, we'll talk about round 2 next segment, but did you watch the end of the Winnipeg game? I worked all day Sunday. I got back just in time for probably the last 7 minutes of the game. It looked like it was no hope for the Jets, and then magic happened.
That's because it was hopeless. What was there? 3 minutes left, and you're pulling your goalie. I'm sitting there. I've got my son's down there watching with me. Amanda's watching. My wife's watching, and she's like, "I hate pulling the goalie. It never works. It always works against you." I said, "Yeah, except for when you do it with like 3 minutes left, and sometimes it does work. But like in a game 7, you got to do something." But honestly, how many people watching that after the first minute felt any hope at all? Like it is desperation time. I felt no hope. I felt like, okay, there's one more team down. Edmonton's going to be next. And then I'm going to have no more hockey to watch. Maybe I'll get one more round, but dude, that was insane.
Oh, it was nuts. It was nuts. Like I said, I only caught the last bit. I was working all day, got the last bit. I sat down with my son, Kyle. He's the only one that really wanted to watch. Well, he was home and the other two weren't home, but anyways, we sat down and you know me, well, first of all, I don't profess to be a Jets fan, but apparently I have this empathetic ability to jump into a fan base. You could call it a bandwagoner because of the emotion of the situation. And you know how much I love an underdog story. So when I sat down on that couch, it was like praying with all my might that the Jets would come back. And like you said, when they pulled the goalie, I was like, this is, and Kyle and I, we kept looking at each other like, this is the worst. And then they just kind of inched back. But that last 15 seconds, it felt like an eternity, which was weird because usually 15 seconds goes by so quickly. And they were in the corner and they were scrambling for the puck, and it was kind of jammed up around the boards. There was 12 seconds left, maybe a little bit less. And I looked over to Kyle and we looked at each other like, this is done, right? And all I want to see is an overtime. Like, I just want to see an overtime. And I look at Kyle, we're like, it's done. And then the puck squirts out to the point. We're like, oh my God. A chance, and he fans on it. Oh my God!
I think that was like 6 or 8 seconds left.
Yes,
it's at that point where you're like, I've seen 100 of these games. This is over. It's done. Over.
And then he passes it across the ice to the top of the dot. Was it Connor? I don't know who I think it was Connors, and then he just puts that low floater and the deflection. It was like magic, man. And me and Kyle jumped out of the chair. We absolutely freaked out. I remember Brett was upstairs. That's right. Brett was upstairs and he hears us hooting and hollering. He comes, I was like, what's going on? We're like, Brett, you just missed the most unbelievable goal that I think I've ever seen with 1.7 seconds left. My son Luke called me. He's at Boston Pizza. He's like, Dad, you're not going to believe everybody jumped and flipped. He's like, there's so many broken glasses and chairs, glasses and dishes here at Boston Pizza because people freaked out. Such a great moment.
Do you know where you see a lot more broken dishes and broken glasses?
Where's
St.
that?
Louis.
Yeah, probably.
Did you see? And I'm not sure. I tried to get this to Trey. I don't know if I got it to him in time. There's this clip of this guy having a watch party in his living room. Big St. Louis fan, and the clip is only 15 seconds. It is walking through that eternity of the last seconds of the game. Where do we have it? I think he might even have it. I know you haven't seen this yet. Check this out.
Okay.
Come on, I feel so powerless. I hate this. I know. I feel so powerless.
They're in the corner.
12 seconds. Hold it
Oh my God. I mean, you see so many of these things, this routine already. At a certain point, there's just they had no momentum. They were getting stymied at every turn. And how they pulled that off, and dude, that was probably the crazy. And then they had to go on to double overtime just to secure the win. I mean, that was, they played almost an entire game after that, but that was one of those things that renews your hope in comebacks. Right? You get so decimated so many times. My hope right now, I feel like we can come back from anything.
Yeah, and it was an amazing and great game. I'm happy for the Jets. I'm happy for their fans. It keeps another Canadian team. But you talk about comebacks. We were treated to another just the night before. We start with the Jets, but the night before was a pretty special one too. Team that I like is Colorado, and they looked like they had it all but wrapped up on Saturday night. And that one I did get to watch. And it was 1-0 Colorado going in the third period. Very quickly into the start of that period, I believe it was a minute in or a minute and a half in, they scored another goal. It's 2-0. It looks like they got a commanding lead because Dallas did nothing all game. It was just a flat effort. And then all of a sudden, Nico Rantanen puts the team on his back. Sheldon, 4 points, 3 goals, and an assist in the third period to not only win the game, but win game 7, and not only win the game and win game 7, but win it against his former team that he left because they could not reach a salary agreement. The team traded him. He wanted to go to Dallas. I believe the story is he wanted to go to Dallas. They traded him to Carolina. He says he was not going to sign with Carolina. Eventually they trade him where he wants to go, and he goes back and just devastates, dagger in the heart of his former team. They're as much elation as those Jets fans felt. I felt it. You felt it. Probably all Canadian hockey fans felt it. The Colorado fan base must feel like they got stabbed in the back.
Well, and they're going to be looking for places to put that knife next too. I mean, this, it's the kind of thing like, who is to blame for that? I mean, I never like to see a player take that much control over his destiny. Usually you want to see a guy have a little bit of character, be a bit of a team guy, whatever that means. But at the end of the day, if I'm an Avs fan, I'm wondering how the hell did this happen in the first place? You have a full year leading up to the situation to resolve it. You mess around with a guy, and now after all that, he comes back and stabs you in the back. I mean, that's got to be painful. There's going to be people calling for heads for sure on that one, because that's a bad look on a GM. That's becomes the story that you're known for the next 10 years.
Well, I know what I mean? I know what you mean. I don't think they had a choice. They couldn't sign all their stars. With the amount of stars that they had in Colorado, they weren't going to reach an agreement. I just think the fact that he winds up going to the team that they face in round 1, and I mean, Sheldon, that's one of the most crazy revenge sports moments. Now, if it was any other player, like if it was Ovechkin, if it was Crosby, if it was McKinnon, if it was McDavid, you name those superstars, that might be considered one of the greatest sports performance of all time because of their body of work. And then you add that, and he's a great player. Like Mikko Rantanen is a great player, but we don't talk about him in the same light as those superstars. Sure. But that is probably one of the greatest revenge revenge performances I've ever seen. And when you talk about revenge performances, I was looking at that. Do you have any that stick out to you? Because I was looking up that there's a couple of big ones. For me, right? Trey pulled these two up right here. When you talk about CFL, Ricky Ray getting traded for a bag of pucks from the Edmonton Eskimos in 2012, and then going on to win the Grey Cup with the Toronto Argonauts. Now, he didn't do it against the Eskimos, but that Eric Tillman's days were numbered after that, right? Considering I think they traded for Steven Giles, who never really amounted to anything in the CFL after his time in Winnipeg there. He went Winnipeg, Toronto, and then, Edmonton and out. And, Ricky Ray went on to win 2 Grey Cups in Toronto after that. And then look at Henry Burris. We've talked about Henry Burris, right? Never really, I mean, we won a Grey Cup in 2008, but he never really got that respect, I think, that he merited. Some say he wouldn't because of all the Grey Cups we didn't win, but We won one 2008 with him, but he got traded, and he wasn't happy about being traded and he losing his job, I believe at the time, to Drew Tate.
Not just being traded. That's a little bit like the Bo Levi story. Little maybe a happy ending. I mean, he was still producing at a high level, but he was written off late in his career and just kind of sent off to do your final rounds, help out, mentor a young guy, and go off and die. And
he didn't want
Henry to come back the way he did. Yeah, for him to for the way that he came back like that. But that was, again, that wasn't so much maybe it was a revenge game.
Well, 2016
he did beat the Stampeders, did he not?
Yeah, in 2016, 39-33 over the Stamps. The Stamps were heavily favored in this game, and Henry, pulled that win out, and it was really, you could tell the team rallied behind him. So those are a couple of revenge ones. But even when you talk about NHL, think about Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
When he got traded, he didn't want to leave Edmonton, right? And he goes back and beats them. I believe, was it the next year he beats them in the playoffs? Considering he never wanted to leave. So there's a couple, Brett Favre leaving Green Bay. And then when he went to Minnesota, I believe he beat the Packers twice that season. I'm trying to think if there's any others that kind of stand out in terms of revenge.
While you're thinking about that, it gets you to think about something else. Have you ever been cut or traded before? Like where you stayed in the league? Like, I know you're cut in the NFL, but did you ever get a chance to face up with an old team?
Well, I went from Edmonton to Calgary, and that was like, the Battle of Alberta. That was huge, right?
Sure. Yeah. It was the same coach, though, but yeah, like the only I was never traded, and I wasn't cut by the Riders, but like you have that special, like that extra. Whatever it is you got in your belly when you're matching up against a team that let you go, wouldn't meet the offer, chose to go a different direction. And I mean, there is something very real about it. I know the playoffs is all about the cup, but that there's something, certain teams, certain buildings, certain players, certain games burn more than others. Playoffs are not. And I'm sure that felt pretty good to be able to exercise some demons. And to know that you're moving on. Will it carry? It's not an amazing story unless Dallas goes all the way and wins the cup. But it's a pretty good story for round one, right?
Well,
good ending to round one.
Well, anytime that someone moves on and they leave the team behind and they go on and win the championship, everyone left behind is left thinking, man, like, should we have kept him? And you think about the Patriots, the decline after Tom Brady left and went to Tampa and win a Super Bowl. You think about Joe Montana. He left the 49ers, and they were never really this. I mean, well, he went back and beat them, but yeah, there's a bunch. I'm looking at a couple here, see if there's any other, no real ones. Peyton Manning, when he left the Colts and then he wins the Super Bowl with the Broncos. I think, anytime someone goes on and win championship, Patrick Waugh, that was a big one for me, right? He was the Canadians. Like, he should have been with the Canadians forever. Instead, he has a falling out with the coach. A historic moment in the old Montreal Forum where, that was his last game. He gets traded to Colorado, and did he win 2 or 3 cups with them? Like, he won one that year. And everyone in Montreal is just shaking their heads because for years we did not have a goalie. And I'd argue up until Carey Price, which was many years later, we didn't have a goalie. So, yeah, like, those can be some great moments in sports. We were treated to some really fantastic moments on the weekend in round one as it wrapped up. Round two started last night with Toronto, Florida, and tonight with Edmonton. But I think we'll save that for the flip side of this break. Sheldon, why don't we take a break, have a drink, have a pee. Guys, listen, you can follow us on social media at Chevy and Nasty. All the sites, Facebook, which we're streaming now, YouTube, we're streaming now, Instagram, X. You'll also find our audio. So if you can't stay up late or you want to listen on the drive tomorrow morning, download it on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also have our TikTok stream that Trey updates and YYC Business. Remember, guys, before the break, we got the men's mental health movie night coming up. It's in a few weeks from now, May 22nd. We're speaking. I believe it's been announced that Brent Cron is going to be joining us that evening. He's going to be the representative from the Calgary Flames alumni. And I wanted to say this early in the show because a lot of you might not be here after some of you guys go to bed, but we have sold about over 140 tickets, and there's only about 25 tickets left. So if you want to come and you know you can come, RSVP. We'll put the email out. RSVP if you can, but only RSVP if you're coming, because with 25 seats left, we want the place full. It's going to be a great night. Food, fellowship, movies, and of course presentations by Brett Gardner, Brent Cron, and Sheldon Napashik's going to be speaking too. So guys, let's take a quick break and we'll talk about round 2 when we get back.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back to The Ride. It's Chevy and Nasty here on episode 74. And as always, we are brought to you by Performance Freight Management, We Drone YYC Real Estate Media, and of course, YYC Business Group. Chev, we talked about it. We're starting to move on to round 2 here. What's it like for a guy once your team is out? Because I know Montreal, maybe they performed stronger than some would have anticipated to even get as far as they did. But now your team's out. Are you the kind of guy, can you find stories to follow? Is it easy for you just to kind of start fading away from the playoff brackets now?
Well, I told you start of the playoffs, I don't even follow much during the regular season. I'm not that into hockey in the regular. I used to be as a kid, but now with all the other sports, I'd rather be into things when they matter. And because of that realization, I think I'm more into it now than I've ever been as a sports fan, especially hockey. Hockey is a sport I grew up playing. I'm not a basketball guy, I'm not a baseball guy, but the storylines for me are there's still a couple of teams that I like in there, but the storylines are captivating to me. For instance, the Jets, you mentioned it a few weeks ago when they fired out of the gates. It was they're looking good. And then last week it looked like, they might not make it out, and they needed to get over the hump, right? Hellebuck was benched a couple of games. You look at Edmonton and sort of what happened to them and their rise. And obviously, with the Canadian teams, it's easy to get behind. There's drama with Florida, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then, the teams that are left that remain, the Capitals, I hate that they beat the Montreal Canadiens, but boy, watching them, they are sure built for this time of year, and they're a good team. Even though I think they lost tonight against Carolina. So I am enjoying it. I think I enjoy it a little bit more because it gives me something to talk about, but it's easy to fall into it. And I just mentioned it. I'm pretty fickle. I could jump on the bandwagon with the best of them. And right now, I like that Jets bandwagon. You could consider me a Edmonton bandwagoner. And I'm still not sure what I do with the Leafs. The Leafs started round 2 It's no secret that when, I mentioned that the Montreal Canadiens traded Raw in the 90s, and that was the last straw for me. That's when I left the Canadiens. He wins a cup. I was done. They traded this guy in his prime, and I was a Leafs fan for a bit. But in those days, you could be, because the Leafs played in the West. It was the conference. The playoffs were all different. They would never meet until the end. I was a Leafs fan with Gilmore and Wendell Clark. But even that wore off. And now, we've talked about it. The world is so, at least Canadian hockey landscape is so Toronto centric. I actually don't like them.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I sit now, because, my allegiance is to Canadian teams. But if I'm going to talk about Canadian teams, they're last on my list. But, they're playing the defending Stanley Cup champs. And I kind of like the grit of those Florida Panthers. So much so, last night, Sam Bennett gets away with another hit. Hits the goalie. A very slight cross check was not called, but the goalie went out of the game, right? And now we're wondering if he's going to be back next week. But Sam Bennett, there was no retribution. Toronto really didn't do much. They were kind of all stunned that it happened and no one really saw. What do you think happens in game 2? Like, if you're the coach, are you sending them, say, hey guys, someone's got to take care of Sam Bennett, or is he in their head?
I don't think the coach has to say anything. You certainly, and the coach doesn't want this game to turn into a Sam Bennett retribution game, but you certainly know it's going to be on every guy's head. And that can be a good thing. If you go like Sam Bennett, I mean, he's known for this. He's known for being the guy that comes in and lays the big hit. He plays, right on that line and sometimes goes over that line. He's always pushing it, and he's always having an impact. You have to be aware that he's on there, and you have to have an answer for him. If you got 2-3 lines chasing him around all day long, you're just going to look stupid. But you are going to have to stand up as a team. This is something that can really unify. He took out your goalie, right? That's just something you just can't abide. Something has to be done. So certainly it's going to play an impact in this game. But are the Leafs? Do they have the makeup to be able to do it? And I'm with you. I'm not the hugest Leaf fan, but I know a lot of guys. Ernie Regas in here. I know he's loving the story right now. He'd love to see the Leafs come out strong in this series. They are going to have to do something, but if they turn this into like a personal grudge match, they're not going to match up for long.
Well, and then he wins 2 games against them, right? He wins the game that happened. Well, I guess they didn't win, but he's in their heads, and that could potentially affect. I think that's what happened last year. Then he knocked Marchand out for the series, and that completely shifted the focus. And that was, that could, very well be the beginning of the end for the Bruins last year when they lost in that first round. They never really recovered this year.
But you have to control your emotions, because you've got to have the emotion there. You got to have the fight back, and you've got to respond. There has to be a response. But that's the thing with agitators, is when they're in their head, if they get Toronto off their game, then it's over, right?
Well, and the thing is this, last week when the Capitals beat my Canadiens, I mentioned it, Tom Wilson, like, he single-handedly, with one of the cleanest, most devastating hits I've ever seen, changed the focus and the momentum in the series. Like, the Habs had something, and then they had nothing, and it was one hit that did that. The Sam Bennett hit, although it wasn't terribly dirty or devastating, it's kind of in line with his personality. It's kind of in line with the Florida Panthers, the Rat. Does what he did. I mean, if Stolarz is out for the series, but in terms of not the goalie leaving the game, but in terms of the mentality or the psyche, is this a game changer or a series changer for the Leafs? Can they get beyond this if they lose their goalie and know that this guy's still walking out there?
They're going to have. I mean, if you're going to make it, if you're going to be a serious contender, you've got to deal with adversity, and you've got to be able to deal with getting hit in the mouth, right? Mm-hmm. And he definitely hit him in the mouth. Yeah. But they say the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy, the hardest championship in the world to win, because you got to gut it out, and it's going to get a lot tougher from here on out. So it's going to test their mental makeup. Do they have it? We'll see. I'm not a Leafs fan. Like I'm hardly following them. But this will be interesting to see just how solidly this team is built and how they're going to respond to it. For me, the story is starting to build now going into round 2. this is what we talked about last year, except we've added another 365 days to it. It is now officially 21,191 days since a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. If you think about that, I don't even know how to convert that to years and months right now, but it's a lot.
1993, baby, in the Montreal Forum.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So at this point, Toronto's not my favorite team, but okay, they're advancing great, fine. But I really do find myself polarizing with the Canadian teams. I'm everything Oilers right now, everything Jets right now. Just hoping we have this one shot. Maybe this is our year that we can finally turn this around, because it is uncanny that we're here since, what was you say, 93?
Yep.
Since 1993, I was a redshirt freshman in college at Iowa State University. I was 19 years old, Chev.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because I was in high school and I didn't even play football in that time. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, you think about how long ago that was. Let me ask you this hypothetical question. Okay, this is like, we didn't even talk about this as a plan, so I know we're not going to talk politics. But if, for instance, there's a large movement of Albertans that want to separate from Canada, okay, and they start inching towards that. Like, I'll make no bones about it. I'm Canadian through and through. I want to repair what's wrong with the relationship between Canada and Alberta. I want to be within Canada. But if it goes that way, do the Albertans that want to separate from Canada still have that same love for the Canadian teams come NHL playoff time?
Oilers and Jets, baby, and the Flames too. Like, I think it's funny, like the separation. Okay, we're not going to go big time politics, but the way I've been thinking a lot about that, Chev, and I think about when it comes to it, couples sometimes divorce, right? Yeah. And it's sad. And at a certain point, people just feel, I can't go any further. We're going to have to separate. Well, does it mean you hate your kids? No, you don't hate your kids. You don't hate the Canadian hockey teams that stayed in the East, or you don't hate the Canadian teams in the West that left. You still love them. They're your children. They've given you so much joy over the years. I think you can still support and feel some pride in the Canadian thing. But I'll tell you what, if Alberta wins the Stanley Cup and we're 1-1 as a new nation, hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup, yeah, dude. You thought Ratnett felt good in that revenge win. You just wait to see what happens when Alberta wins it.
So 100% pro separation is what we're saying here.
Not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I love the kids no matter what happens. Mom and I have some things to discuss.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that divorce thing. I was like, you know what? That's a great analogy, and I was thinking about that today. But before you pull the plug, you should go to counseling. And that's what we need now. We need some
why do you want to go to counseling now, Chev? We've been asking it for the last 50 years.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. When one party doesn't want to go to counseling and the other one does, maybe that's the sign. But maybe sometimes the one party doesn't realize how serious this is until what happened yesterday. Like I said, I actually agree with.
Are we talking about the Stanley Cup now, or what?
No, we're talking about the separation. I agree with everything Premier Smith said yesterday. I will say I agree. I think that she dropped the ball on not talking more about electoral reform, but I also think that she kind of just stoked the fire, saying, "Listen, we're not going to put the question on the referendum, but if we get enough signatures, then we have no like." She's a politician, and it's kind of a little duplicitous. But you know what? Alberta's going to do what Alberta has to do, and we're going to get through this time and figure it out. But like I like your analogy about the kids, because they just if Alberta separates, well, they're going to just have to be great co-parents with the kids. Yeah. Sheldon, let's switch gears. Big meme on the internet this week, talking about gorillas. And I guess I don't know how these things become so popular, like from ice bucket challenges to planking to one gorilla versus 100 men. First of all, I guess the question is, do 100 men beat a gorilla or not?
It depends on the 100 men, Chev. Like if you took 100 guys just aggressively charged a gorilla, you would probably have some success quickly. But the gorilla has like the strength, the stamina to fight you off. You can only fight so many guys at a time.
Okay,
So I think the team that you select to go with you is going to be the pivotal thing.
okay, but okay. So first of all, I guess the assumption is that a gorilla is this savage beast that
Oh, a
sometimes
gorilla could be at 100 men.
But this is the thing. I was looking to I was listening to I don't know what do you call the scientist that studies gorillas? A gorillologist? I don't know. Like I can't remember what it was,
pretty
but
sure
I was
that's
listening to a guy who has an official title, and it's not a gorillologist, but something like that. Anyways, he is actually saying that gorillas are actually quite passive. First of all, they're vegetarians; they don't eat meat, and if 100 men would confront them, they'd probably be scared. They just want to get out of there because they're like, "This is not good." Now, it's built with the capabilities that it could defend itself, but it's probably trying to get out of there. But let's assume that 100 men want to take out a savage gorilla like King Kong's baby.
A cornered gorilla, Chev. Cornered gorilla protecting its baby. How about that?
Yeah, a gorilla trying to separate from Canada. I don't know, but I'm just kidding. Who's on your team? Like, like how do you formulate this team? Is there a strategy, or you just take the biggest guys? Like who's your number one pick on the gorilla team?
The first name that came to my mind, and now he's slipping already. Brock Lesnar. Like, I want to match brute force with brute force. I want a couple of guys, Brock Lesnar, Boss Rutan. Do you remember him from back in the day?
Oh, yeah, I remember Boss Rutan.
He could win a fight from his back. So you got a guy who knows how to handle himself in tight confines, that can wrestle, has got the strength. So those are a couple of mine right off. Is some actual real-world fighters that have fought literal human gorillas in the past. Who's your first go-to guy?
If he was alive, we talked about him last week on our 73rd episode. Larry Allen with his 700-pound bench press, and he's about 325. He's still giving up a little bit of weight to the gorilla, but Larry Allen would be there. Another guy that I played with in the NFL, one of the biggest but also most fit-looking dudes, was Leonard Davis. I believe he was the second overall draft pick by draft year, or first, from Texas, and he went to Arizona, I believe. Man, what a monster. Like 6'8", 400, I believe at the time he was 400 pounds. I played with him in the East-West Shrine game, just like the most massive human being I'd ever seen. But yeah, probably a bunch of those MMA guys.
Do you know who I'd add to that, though? Because that's where my head went first, right? Grapplers, strong guys, guys with explosive power. But then I started thinking about it a little bit more. Actually, I didn't think about it. I AI'd it. And AI is big on us bringing Navy SEALs Team 6 with us. Guys that have trained for the most adverse conditions, guys that don't quit even though they're missing an arm, and guys that can think their way through a fight. Because I think you're not going to outmatch the power of the gorilla, right? If it wants to just Donkey Kong you, it's just going to smash you.
Would you bring Chuck Norris in his prime?
Oh, obviously that's a little further down the list, but yes, absolutely Chuck Norris.
Van Damme?
That's also on the list.
Jason Statham? I'm just throwing out some of
which Jason. No, they're all kind of the same. No, I don't think it'd be a Statham. I think, and even Chuck Norris, I just bring him on because I think our odds go up because he's never lost.
Well, our intrepid producer who does so much homework for us to get us ready for the show, Trey, ran this scenario through AI, and we've used it for many things in the last few weeks. Trey, if you can jump on and give us a little bit of first of all, what did you type into the AI? And then also tell us some of your surprises on your list and who made the AI list of the 100 most capable men to beat up a gorilla.
Yeah, so I literally just asked ChatGPT. I could even share my screen here, actually. I didn't ask it to.
What was the prompt?
I'll show it to you guys here. One sec.
I can't read.
See, I don't know if I was kind of stealing your thunder, but that's what I did right before the show. Just jumped in there.
So I didn't ask anything. I just said, I want you to give me a list of 100 men that I need in my team to beat up a gorilla.
Okay.
And
I can't. That's really small. So just read me some of the surprises as you went through your list. Because
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
We got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We got The Mountain. Didn't you meet him?
Oh yeah, The Mountain. Yeah, I met him. He's actually even one of the biggest human beings. I totally forgot. Yeah, The Mountain. Absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
Mike Tyson in his prime, not the one we saw against Jake Paul.
Yeah, no, not the Jake Paul Mike Tyson. I got it.
Francis Ngannou, who's the one who punches really hard.
Yeah.
that it equals like a 60 or getting hit by like a 60 km/h car.
What?
Getting hit by one
Okay,
of
Mark
Even who-
Henry, WWE's
Mark
old Mark
Henry.
Henry. Yeah, I like that
Brock
one.
Lesnar, John Jones, a couple other MMA ones, and then we got some NFL guys: Aaron Donald, Ray Lewis.
I
J.J.
think
Watt.
Goldberg should be on that list. He is a
Yeah, I
nut
think so.
job.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought this
Go
one was
Goldberg.
interesting. Saquon.
He just jump over the gorilla until everybody else beats him.
I like this
Backwards
one too.
hurdle.
We've talked about it before on the podcast.
No tease,
Yeah.
no
One of
fear.
Daryl's favorite too.
Yeah,
Then we got
fair
some
enough.
WWE guys. There's Goldberg right there.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Goldberg,
Yeah.
Batista,
Yeah,
I don't
Batista's
think John Cena's on my list. John
No,
Cena's
he's
like
not,
no,
Big
Not even the
Show,
Big
Randy
Show.
Orton,
no.
no, none of
Undertaker,
those.
maybe.
None of those.
No.
No.
GSP maybe.
Yeah, he's small though.
Chuck Liddell. There's
He's just got to work an arm or work a leg, right?
Oh, yeah, Bas Rutten's there. Okay,
Bas Rutten.
keep going. Keep
Fedor
going.
Emelianenko.
Fedor.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fedor's
Fedor.
definitely in that list. Yeah.
Who else we
Some
got? Oh,
wild
wild
cards.
cards.
We got
Let's see. Oh, Chuck Norris. Yes.
Chuck Norris, Sylvester Stallone,
No.
Arnold.
I see. I don't know if
Ar-
Arnold's on my list.
Predator Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Predator Arnold. But he had guns.
Yeah, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan.
I thought about him too, again, but you just got to get him on one arm.
What about
Steve Irwin.
Jesse the
No.
Body Ventura? Was he there? Because I'd like
He wasn't there, but that might be a good one. That might be a good one. Some tough celebs. Joe Rogan. Thought that was pretty funny. Jason Statham. There you go.
I'll stay in.
This is funny. Mark Wahlberg. He thinks he could.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we got some big boys, some big offensive linemen. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, those are all big guys.
Larry Allen, yeah.
Well, there you go.
bench,
So maybe a list.
bench press the earth.
That's crazy. though. Like,
And then so this is. Oh, before I spoil it,
Okay.
the tier is local legends, hype man, and absolute chaos picks.
So wait, it had to know that like local legends, like it had to know where you lived. Oh,
It must.
hey, we made
Oh,
the
there you
list.
go.
Canadian
there you
Heart
go.
and Sheldon is unpredictable.
Alberta Heart, baby.
And look, right with the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Who else is on that list?
Check that out. And where am I placed? I'm number 92 on the list. That's my number, dude.
No, oh my God, that's so crazy. It's meant to be. The guy
That
who
is
fought
meant
the
to be.
kangaroo, save his
To
dog,
save his dog.
a
the
bouncer
Florida
from
man.
his-
Oh, yeah. And your uncle who once punched a moose.
A bouncer from Sketchy Bar in Winnipeg.
Oh,
And your uncle who once punched a moose.
and the
So, yeah,
ghost of
I mean,
Harambe.
A pretty funny list.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys, listen, we have 100 men at least showing up to our men's mental health movie night in May. Of that, we could probably assemble a pretty badass team. A bunch of you guys are here tonight, from Todd Kozak to Bruno to the Dine and Dash Dad. I think we'd stand a chance. You know what we wouldn't stand a chance against is a chimpanzee. Those are the ones that can F you up. Like chimpanzees will rip your eyes out. They're tiny, they're mean, they're terrible. And I don't think we'd stand a chance against chimpanzee, but I think we got some good dudes in our group. And I don't know if it would be fun to take it on. Where does this meme go? Does it just die out, or does it just keep going? Or what's the next meme, Trey? Tell us. You're the youth.
You got to wait till next week, Chev.
Oh yeah, we'll just keep pumping another one out. But I thought this one is funny because it really did go viral. And I asked the question to my dad and my family yesterday, and they looked at me like I had 7 heads.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that funny, but I thought it was pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, there's a bunch of stuff online. My kids were showing me something online about this penguin and this pig and this panther. It's a story. It's an AI story, and I had no clue what they're talking about there, but they all knew about it. And my kids are all separated. Like one's 18, one's 16, and one's 13, and they all knew about this thing. It's some stupid AI generated story about, I don't know, these killer pig, panther, and a penguin, and they knew the whole story. And it's weird. It's different, and this is another one of those things that we will never understand. But that's because we're old and we complain about everything. And you're getting there, Trey, so don't worry about it.
Yep.
Guys, why don't we take a break so we can wrap this thing up shortly? Chevy and Nasty, you know where to follow us. Please share, like, post, all that stuff. Repost some of our clips. We put those on all week. We work hard to put out some content for you from the show. Take a break, take a pee. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Performance Freight Management is a global logistic freight shipping company that will handle the entire shipping process for any package to any country. Whether it be a simple truck shipment from your office to Toronto or your company importing generators from China, PFM Freight handles it all. We have the expertise and technology to handle any shipping requirements. Skip the guesswork and let us take the shipping pain off your plate.
Do you want your business to be known? YYCCalgaryBusiness.ca is Calgary's only online media platform that gets you noticed. Short-form video content is rapidly taking over as the most effective way to engage your audience. Whether you're being interviewed on a vodcast, sharing a sizzle reel, or even hosting your own show, there is one place you can publicize your business. We want to tell your story and introduce you to our network of empowered business owners and leaders right here in Calgary. Isn't it time you took your digital game to 11? Call us or email us now.
Welcome back. You know, normally my mic turns on automatically. I don't know why it's not doing that today. Welcome back to the ride with Chevy and Nasty. We've got a few minutes left here. We're brought to you by Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business. Sheldon, I want to get you out of here and back to work. So let's start right away with our third segment thing that we always do, Studs and Duds. Hit it, Trey.
Studs and Duds.
All right, where do you want to start? Studs this week?
Yeah, let's start studs.
Okay.
I was truly inspired this week. You talk about you're calling me a separatist. I'm not a separatist. I want answers, and I want to find something that makes common sense. Alberta doesn't want to be treated special. They want policies that just everybody else wants. But this week, Danielle Smith comes out with a huge speech, a proclamation to the nation. Everybody's calling it demands, but they're not demands. It's just stating what Alberta requires for Alberta to continue to survive and thrive in this world that we live in right now. And I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but what she was asked, she wasn't threatening separation. She was saying simple things like Alberta would like access to all coasts so that we can ship our oil and gas and our other raw materials and get them out to the coastline. That's not too much to ask. Could you imagine if we dictated to Ontario that, yeah, you can make cars, but you can only sell this many per year and you can't sell them anywhere west of Saskatchewan? I mean, it would be ridiculous. Nobody would even consider a thing like that. She comes out and talks about equalization payments. Hey, equalization is for the small provinces, the have-nots, the Nova Scotias, the PEIs, the territories, all the people that need our help. But when Ontario and Quebec are collecting hundreds of millions of dollars per year and the West gets nothing, really common sense, simple things. And I think she said it well. Of course, everybody's putting in the context of separation. What she's talking about is, listen, if we want a strong, united country where we're all equal parties, this is what we need. And I thought she pulled it off well. So Danielle Smith, you're my stud.
I liked everything, like I said, and I agree with everything. I don't like the fact that it seemed like she was encouraging that to get it on the. It was it seemed, again, I lived in Quebec for a long enough time.
You better fix it then. So
Yeah,
it's time to stop blaming the West for saying the way they feel, and let's fix it. It can't be fixed, but you have to fix it.
I just think when you open the door for sovereignty and you open the door for people to think that they can look elsewhere, the problems with Quebec's economy for 30 years and the reason why Alberta pays equalization payments is because of the separatist talk that started in the 70s that drove all the businesses away because of all the uncertainty. It left Quebec in, and there was no economy there because people are like, no business. You talked about divorce. I'll tell you about divorce. When you are kind of on the rocks, and I see it now with other friends, and they know that you kind of are on the rocks, you know what other friends do? They stay away till you sort your shit out.
Yeah.
And when Alberta decides, and if they decide that they're going to try and go down this path, which means go down the path of recreating treaties with the natives that have already stated, many of them saying that they don't want to leave Canada,
because they're treated so well by Canada. They're treated as well
whatever it is, the uncertainty that movement and that domino, if that domino goes, the uncertainty that will do will put Alberta in more dire straits than it currently is. And I've lived through it for 30 years in Quebec. 30 years, and that's those equalization payments that went Quebec's way for all these years is literally because of that talk, because Quebec had no economy, there was no housing values.
The original talk, well, this could be a whole other episode, and I don't want to go too political, but
let's not go too.
I read some really interesting stuff this week. So the whole concept of Buffalo that was started by by the first premier of Northwest Territories in 1905, 1903. It was a guy raised in England and was trained up as a lawyer, and he came out here and he was like the first attorney general for the area, and he became premier. And he pitched to Canada at the time of Confederation that Alberta and Saskatchewan would make this an amazing province that would drive the economy of Canada. And you know what Wilfrid Laurier, the Liberal, said? Too strong. Break them up.
Possibly. And again, Sheldon, I'm not disagreeing with people's emotions and where they feel. And like I said, I agree with every single thing she said. But I know what separation does. Look, we have a federal party that is dedicated to the destruction of our country, and taxpayer money goes to fund all
Ontario
those.
Have the ability to fix it.
Absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. It needs to be fixed. So I agree with all that. I don't like
didn't say there. We don't have the ability to fix it because we're powerless.
But we have to
take a stand, right?
Yep. No, and I like I said, I like a lot of what she said. I just don't like that she didn't enforce or hit hard on electoral reform, which is what's needed so that Alberta can have a more equal say. And again, leaving that door open the way she did, I lived it for 30 years in Quebec, and the reason Toronto's so big is because everyone left Quebec and all the businesses put their head offices in Toronto when there was so much uncertainty.
That did happen. Yeah.
So I'll move on to my stud and again, we talk about Canada and how proud we are to be Canadian. Watching this guy, Sidney Crosby, suit up in the World Championships coming up for Canada for the first time since 2015. That's 10 years he hasn't done this. He's going back to represent. He doesn't need this. Yeah. He's Sidney freaking Crosby. We talked about it. He doesn't need to go play in the summer.
He just won the Four Nations.
He just won the Four Nations. He's, 39 years old, 38 years old, whatever he is. He's about the same age as Ovechkin. He's going back. He's going to represent his country. He's going to play with his old buddy, Marc-Andre Fleury, who's also going, who's never been there. For me, this guy represents everything that's great about our sport, about our country, and for him to go back, truly the Captain Canada. He hasn't passed the torch off to Connor McDavid yet, and moves like this show why he's still the man. So for me, my stud is Sidney Crosby. We talk about him a lot, but he deserves a place on this discussion tonight.
Love it. Chevy, give me your dud.
My dud, very quickly, Donald Trump dressing up or posting through the White House the meme of him in the Pope outfit. As a Catholic, a little bit offended. I think it's he was just at the Pope's funeral the week before. He's the president of the United States. This is so unstatesmanly. And then when it was brought up to him, he didn't say, he didn't back down. He didn't apologize. It's a joke. My wife thought it was cute. They're still selecting the new Pope. The guy's body isn't even cold yet, and he's making jokes. I just think, when you talk about, but people who like Trump will say, well, Trump does stupid things. But then on the same breath, they'll jump on him bullying Vladimir Zelensky about the disrespect of him wearing a black non-suit and tie in the White House. So he's full of shit, is what I'm saying, and that's why he's my dad.
Trump than the Pope being disrespected. But that's fine. Like he's an easy bad guy. In all fairness, Trump retweeted this. He did not come up with this himself.
No, I know that.
And I agree. Tasteless.
Absolutely tasteless.
I'm not at all surprised. But I'm also not surprised that the people that were butthurt by this were not the people standing up for the transgendered Last Supper imagery during the opening ceremonies of the France Olympics. But that being said, we have our favorites and we have the guys we can't stand. And
fair enough.
You know what?
These guys are bad guys.
I'm sure he loves the fact that it's bugging his haters for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Worse than that, Chev. Something horrible happened in the world this week. Well, not horrible. I think it kind of got set right. There's a mother in Kentucky, and sorry, Trey, I didn't get you this information, but there's a mother in Kentucky who's got a kind of a high needs, special needs kid, developing slowly. He's 7 years old, grade 1. But I don't know if this is even like a high needs or special needs thing, because I thought it was quite brilliant. He gets onto his mom's phone, onto his mom's Amazon account, and orders 70,000 dum-dum suckers to the house on Amazon. No further checks, just put it straight on the credit card. And sure enough, the mom gets an alert that her order for 70,000 dum-dum suckers have just
what's
arrived.
a dum-dum sucker? Tell me what that is.
They're just like this. I think they're like two-tone, bottom and top. It's just a real simple, like a lollipop. It's
like a lollipop. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was
called a lollipop.
Yeah. Okay.
And it gets delivered to her house. Now, fortunately, there's about 8 crates, so roughly around 30,000 lollipops that couldn't get delivered. They were stuck at the U.S. Postal Service. So they got returned to sender, and she got credited back for that. But she had to reach out to on Facebook Marketplace and start selling these things off by box and by crate just to recoup her money. She spent over like $4 or $5 grand, $4 US, which is like $7 Canadian, on these dum-dums. And I would have thought that the least Amazon could have done is stepped in there and says, we'll cancel the order. And not only that, we're going to let your kid keep the dum-dums, because that would be awesome. That would be a story for the ages, to be able to give those out to all your friends for the next 15 freaking years.
So wait a second. Who's the dud? Is it the kid?
I don't really have a dud. I just
is it the mom? Is it the mom for leaving the phone, or is it Amazon?
She had to. They wouldn't let her off the hook for this kid. I think it's an amazing story. I think it was a chance for somebody to step up big. I think Dum Dums missed a massive marketing opportunity on this one themselves. At the end of the day, she had to sell them to get her money recouped. It sounds like everybody responded well.
Sheldon, I did not miss a marketing opportunity. I got our next sponsor. Instead of Studs and Duds, it's going to be Studs and Dum Dums. Studs and Dum Dums, brought to you by Dum Dum Suckers. That's what we got to shoot for. And we can maybe buy like probably 10 crates of her Dum Dums for a quarter of the price and then give them away as a prize.
Love it. You know what, Trey, that's your job. You got to start working those angles. You got to go find us a connection there with the Dum Dums Lollipop Factory, wherever they might be posted. I have no idea where they're even from.
We'll have to look this up. Studs and Dum
one
Dums.
last thing. I know we're almost out of time here, but we've been having this great Canadian debate over the last few weeks between like actors and comedians, and but one thing we're not really known for is our burger franchises, but we do have some options in this country that we still consider Canadian. Chevy, what is your go-to best favorite Canadian burger?
So I'm going to tell you, my entire life, I have been a Harvey's guy. Harvey's reminds me of my grandma. She lived in an apartment by the church, but right behind her apartment was a Harvey's. We always went to visit my grandma, my nonna, and we always went to get Harvey's. And my favorite burger is relish, ketchup, mustard, extra pickles, tomatoes, and lettuce. That's it. That's the Chevy burger. That's all you need. And for years, it's always been
a single or a double. Do you get the Angus? Or
I'll get a double. I mean, back in the day, there was only the original. If I was lucky, I got an original double. So I'll stick with the original Harvey's burger. But if it was a one-horse race for a long time, I got to tell you, and again, these are the major chains, because I'm looking here. Trey put a couple of different ones. A&W, I went a few weeks ago with my boys, and we walked into the one in Crowfoot, and my boys are like, Dad, it's like we stepped into a commercial. Like the restaurant looks like the restaurants in the commercial. Everyone looks happy here. There's a bunch of old people having brunch. The breakfast is super cheap there. It's clean. It's nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I love root beer.
And you get that frosted mug.
Yes.
And the frosted mug looks as good as it does in the commercial as well, doesn't it?
And the burgers look like they look like on the board. And so I don't know. Right now, it's a 2-horse race for me. I've had some of the special burgers, like the Burger Baron I had and I loved. Vera's Burger Shack that was started by former CFL Cameron Legault. They have one in here, pretty good.
Where? In Calgary?
Northland Mall. Northland Mall. Very, very good burgers. But I think if I'm going to go for like the regular type burgers, if I'm thinking, it's still Harvey's for me. I still get a little rise for Harvey's, their poutine and a burger. Oof, that's good. What about you?
Yeah, well, dude, I love Harvey's. It's always reminded me the nostalgia of like an old rink burger back in the small town Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Just a juicy burger. And this week I had a double original with cheese, but I got it loaded. I didn't want to pick. I was in a rush. I said just everything on there. So like the relish, the ketchup, the pickles, the mayo, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, banana peppers, jalapeno pepper. It had everything on it. It was like eating a burger salad, but it was so good.
That's awesome.
But for me, you know what? You're seeing less and less of these out west. But for me, Burger Baron, whenever you drive through a small town, and I was dismayed a month ago. I drove through Red Deer, and their Burger Baron's now shut down. But Burger Baron used to be this awesome little spot you find in small towns, spotted all over Alberta and Saskatchewan. And the go-to burger there was the double mushroom burger, and it wasn't. They called it a mushroom burger, but it wasn't mushrooms on the burger. It was mushroom soup, like straight out of Campbell's chunky mushroom soup that they just pour all over the burger, but they'd add some salt and MSG, maybe a little pepper to give it a little spice. But for me, that double mushroom burger from Burger Baron was always my go-to. We talked about Rasevich at the beginning of this game.
Yeah.
Dan Rasevich and I'm forgetting his name right now.
Reinson?
Scrivener, Colin Scrivener and Dan Rasevich introduced me to Burger Baron when I first went to Regina, and that would be our go-to on a Wednesday night if you're watching a movie at home. Just get a bag of Burger Baron.
Yeah. When I drive to Drayton Valley, there's one in Rocky Mountain House. There's also one, I believe, in Sundre. So you can hit two on the way. So I've had the one in Leduc as well back in the day. But yeah, Burger Baron's good. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking about a couple of others. There's Five Guys. If you've ever had that,
it's not Canadian, but
okay, we're talking about just Canadian. Okay, is Smash Burger Canadian? I think they're Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, maybe
no?
I don't know.
I don't know, but if you're just
I don't even think
about,
A&W is actually Canadian, but
there is the one in you know where I went the other day? The Inglewood Drive-In, right behind Spalumbo's. Fantastic burger. Inglewood Drive-In. There's another one in Calgary. I think it's Boogie's Burger.
Yeah,
I heard is amazing.
Sure. Yeah.
Bruno's thrown out a bunch of answers, and I don't want to ignore Bruno. He's thrown out a couple of I didn't ignore him because I mentioned it's 84, but he mentioned Mr. Sub. Now I don't know, like I'm not a Mr. Sub guy. I've never been, so I don't even know if they make a burger there. Do they actually make a burger there, or were you being facetious? Because then you put Peters, and I think I'm with a Trey about the Peters thing. Great milkshakes, burgers. Yeah, I went once to Wendy's, and I ordered a Baconator, and I think I even posted this. And CFL, Wendy's sponsored the CFL Friday Night Football for the longest time, to Kick for $1 million and all that. And when I order a burger, I don't want to order a heart attack. But one day, I watched that commercial, and that Baconator looks so damn good on Friday Night Football. I ran out to buy one. I went to the one in Brentwood, and I saw the poster there, and I ordered the Baconator. And Sheldon, I was so disappointed. I took a picture of what my burger looked like versus the actual poster. It was disgusting. It was terrible. So I've never really ordered any more burgers from Wendy's, but if I'm going to go, I think I've made the conscious decision. I'm never ordering a burger from McDonald's again unless it's the only thing I have to do. Because I used to like
the McRib. I could see you getting a McRib again.
Yeah, but I'm talking about burgers. Like I used to like a Big Mac bag. I used to like a double quarter pounder, but now whenever I go, I'm just disappointed. But
Yeah.
A&W or Harvey's would be my top 2 picks. And Bruno did confirm that Mr. Sub actually has burgers.
You know what? We might have to go on an expedition and find that out. But Chev, I'm going to give last word to you on this burger thing because you're a passionate guy. You know your burgers. You're going to A&W. What are you getting? Are you getting which in the burger family? You getting the grandpa, the uncle, the auntie, the
I think
guy?
I'm getting the double team burger. Okay. The double team. I'm getting the fries. I'm putting on the malt vinegar that they have there with some ketchup and then the frosty mug of A&W root beer. You can't go wrong with that meal. You cannot go wrong with that meal.
Honestly, that's my go-to as well, except I get the onion rings instead of the fries. But anyway, guys, I think that's about all the time we have for tonight. Love the comments. I'm getting inspired to check out some more restaurants. Jamin just brought up Casa Katrina, a little Mexican joint serving Mexican burgers. I've been there before. You got to check it out sometime. Chevy, I'll take you there next time we grab lunch.
Yes.
But guys, thanks again for joining us on this ride. This has been episode 74. As always, we want to thank our sponsors, Performance Freight Management, We Drone Real Estate Media, and YYC Business Group. Guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys all here next week.